Hello and welcome to Soul Sensations as we continue celebrating the 50th anniversary of Philadelphia International Records and, of course, the US TV series Soul Train. With me today, I am privileged to have one of the original Soul Train dancers, Miss Thelma Davis Martin. Hello, Thelma.
Hi, how are you?
I'm feeling really good. I'm glad we finally got this together after all the postponements. But yeah, we're going to have a good little chat.
I'm looking forward to it.
Now, well, I'd like to start from the beginning. So, would you like to tell our listeners, or let our listeners know a little bit about yourself, where you're born and what was your childhood like? A bit of background on yourself.
I was born in the early 50s in the throes of the civil rights movement. I was raised in Los Angeles, California. Attended actually in the suburbs of Los Angeles, out in the San Fernando Valley. Um, I am the daughter of a civil rights activist father
Huh.
and a neighborhood community mother, and just I don't know what else I can
I
say.
just it's like, but well, I can say I one thing to you. Is it true you started ballet at the
Oh yeah.
4 years of age? How did that come about?
You know, well, being raised in the suburbs of LA, it was a much quieter sort of serene kind of living as opposed to living in the inner city.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've always been, interested in dance, just crazy about dance. I would dance at the parties that my mother and father would give. And so when I expressed an interest in training, my mother put me in ballet when I was like six and a half, no, five, 5.5 years old. So I started, training in ballet,
Yeah.
and um, and then I did my first paid performance at around 7. It was just a community performance, but it was paid.
Did you pay the IRS on that one?
Maybe my mom did. I don't know. So then from there, I ballet was a little bit too stringent for me, too formal.
Uh-huh.
So I went into, jazz training and interpretive training, and that went on for, a few more years. And then when I moved into the inner city, I started taking jazz classes with, Michael Peters and Claude Thompson and, those type of high energy jazz dancers,
Yeah.
jazz choreographers out of New York. And uh, even that style of dancing wasn't passionate enough for me.
Right.
So when I was about maybe 14, 15, I started becoming very interested in urban street dance. And so I took my training, my ballet and jazz training, and I parlayed it into moves on the dance floor.
Uh-huh. So what is like for us here in the UK? What is urban street dance? Because the only thing I know about street dance to this day is spinning on your head, and I don't think you were doing that at your age, were you?
Oh, no, no, no. When I say urban street dance, I mean just dance, period.
All right.
Not being trained, not trained dancing, dancing in the clubs, dancing at the events around the city, just being a teenager in the city, you know.
Uh-huh. So
So
so can we'll jump here a little bit, or if we can jump. So before becoming a dancer on Soul Train, what did you do, or did you just go straight to Soul Train?
oh no, I was involved in many different organizations. I was a um, not a cheerleader, but I was I forgot. I used to be a part of the African dance ensemble
Right.
at
Okay.
the high school that I was in. I was the uh, team captain for a drill team called the Lizettes out of Compton, California. I participated in many contests around the city and performed different styles of dance
Right.
during the time frame. I didn't I didn't start on Soul Train until I think, my last year in high school, and that's when Soul Train came to Los Angeles.
Yeah. So how did you get your audition for Soul Train? Did you just were they auditioning for people, or did somebody say, "Look at Thelma, this is for you"? How did you actually get onto Soul Train?
Right. No, they were passing out, they had sent out flyers to the different high schools all over the city
Uh-huh.
uh, to recruit dancers for the show. You had to audition at that time. So there was during part of Parks and Recreation, um, the Boys and Girls Club, Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
There were a lot of different organizations and entities where teenage youth could go, and be a part of activities. So they had the auditions at a park in Los Angeles near my home called Dinker Park. And we auditioned. And initially, I auditioned and I was chosen, but they had certain criteria and rules in terms of how you could come on the show. So
All
it
right.
was you and your partner had to be like from the same school and just different little. And so then I was initially disqualified because my partner and I weren't coming from the same high school.
All right. Yeah.
Later that evening, I got a call back from, the coordinator, and she says, "Well, we can't pass you up. You dance too well, and you have too many great moves for us to pass you up. So we're going to make an exception
Wow.
on this one
Wow.
that you." Yeah, I was impressed too. I was like, "Wow,
How old were you then?
huh?" I was 16, 17.
17-year-old. Wow. Yeah, now here's one. Now you can answer this one if you don't, if you want to. Now here in this country, when there's dances on pop shows, some are voluntary and some get paid. Did you get paid for Soul Train, or did you have to do a voluntary?
No, we weren't paid for the show. At that time, it was the first um, program that ever featured uh,
Dances.
inner city black youth. No,
Ah,
there were other programs that did youth
yeah,
dancer, but we were the first in terms of presentation of young black teenagers from the inner city.
yeah,
We
right,
weren't aware that we should have been getting paid. We didn't have the knowledge to know how to negotiate that. And of
yeah.
course, our parents weren't in a position either to help us negotiate that because we were the first.
Yeah, true. It was the first, and I tell you something, Soul Train, it's still going on now. It's brilliant. I just wish they could rerun the whole series. It's fantastic.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a different version of it or a version of it, a new version of it, so that the children and the youngsters now could also have that vehicle.
Do you know? Do you know?
Uh,
Do you know something? You're saying that. I would agree with that, but it won't have the same impact because the dancing of today has nothing on the dancing of the 70s. You can go to a nightclub and all right, some of the dance routines are staged and you see all these different moves. But I
right.
don't think a Soul Train for today's music would work. I might be wrong because I'm one of those people that think back to the 70s where it was all flamboyant and you did splits, you were doing backflips, spins, snap spins, and just
We were
really,
quite creative.
pardon?
I said we were quite creative.
Oh, very creative, I would say. Now,
Yes.
I'm going to move on to something here. Now, a little birdie told me that you were a massive, massive Supremes fan to the
Oh,
point that I think you had every album the Supremes released by the time we left high school. Would I be right in
well,
say, would I be right in saying
they,
that?
they were role models for young black teenage girls,
Yeah,
and I used to work with another friend of mine, Little Joe. He's passed away, but we used to put together supreme conventions here in the city,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we would have people call in and or fly in from all over the country to come to these different these little. We would have it at like the Holiday Inn or um, different little hotels around the city
yeah.
yearly. Yeah, so yeah, I was a massive fan, but I was more a fan of Florence Ballard than I was of the other two.
Right. Yes. So, what went through your mind when you first met the Supremes backstage prior to you dancing to their music on Soul Train? Did you get a chance to meet them, or were you all? Because I know some people be like, "Oh my God, this." Did you get a chance to meet them before you went on stage, or was it just like, "Hey ho,
I,
it's just the Supremes, I'm going to dance"?
uh, I'm not sure how. It was different, no, different concerts. Like they would come and perform at different concerts, but I think that my first time ever seeing them
Yeah.
was on Soul Train, seeing them in person, like in an intimate where I could say, "I
Yeah.
love you so much."
So,
You know, I'm
so,
your biggest fan.
so you did feel a bit. Did you feel in awe of them when you actually met them to chat
Oh my
to? Oh,
God, yes. Oh my God, yes. And not only the Supremes, but most of the artists when
yeah,
dancing on the show, you were very up close and personal with most of the artists. So like when Teddy Pendergrass was there, we got a chance to, kick it and talk and the OJs and Gladys Knight and
yeah,
it but the Supremes was of course the cherry on top. But I met the Jacksons.
yeah,
Then I turned around and I met the Jackson Five, and then I turned around and met them in a different capacity
yeah,
as Michael Jackson and the Jacksons. So
yeah.
it was great.
So, how many actual Soul Train dancers was there? So, was it a group, a certain number of group, like say 10, and then some hangers-on or backups, or was it just like one correct team all the way through?
You mean the dancers on the show?
The dance on the show, yeah. Was there a set team, or did you have like backups as well?
Well, there was a set group of sort of the chosen people, the ones that were chosen to dance on the, platform risers and the ones that were featured. It wasn't a set group because it was continuous. I mean, as new dancers came in and um, you know, new talent was
Yeah,
found. It was integrated into the show as we went along. But in the early 70s, I want to say from 1971 to 1975 was where the original Soul Train gang.
yeah.
And
Right.
though we were the dancers that all the other dancers stood on our shoulders because we had to go through everything for
Yeah,
them to get to where they were. So, but as the show progressed, new dancers came,
yeah,
and I would say, if you were looking for a number, it was really not a number. We started
yeah,
out with 10, 15, favorite dancers, and
yeah.
then just grew.
It just grew from there. Right, Selma, what we're going to do now is going to have a break for music. I'm going to play a few tracks of certain videos that you were seen on Soul Train, and I'm going to simulcast them at the same time. And then we'll come back and have another little chat. How's that sound?
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
It's okay, Selma. See you soon. Hello, and welcome back to part two of my exclusive interview with original Soul Train dancer and choreographer Thelma Davis Martin. Welcome back, Thelma.
Hi, thank you for bringing me back on.
Uh, Thelma, I love you to bits, man. You know that.
Oh,
Now, we spoke last week and we chatted about something, and something cropped up. Um, we'd like to tell our listeners what about the situation between Don Cornelius and a certain MFSB track, which was one of the themes to Soul Train.
well, it's one of the most famous themes to Soul Train.
Yeah, oh
And
yeah,
they presented the song, and he used it for quite some time. They
yeah.
offered to sell him the tracks, and he didn't want them. And it went on to be one of the greatest Soul Train themes
Ever.
in the history of Soul Train. It's interesting to me. My understanding is that um, he didn't feel it was, or he didn't want to spend the money
Yeah,
to purchase the track. He just felt like, because he was already using it, so why pay for it? But
I think if you'd done that, the royalties that would have continued going would have been like phenomenal.
oh my God.
You know what I mean? Because I do believe that is the main Soul Train theme tune.
Oh
To me, it
yeah.
is. In my eyes, it's absolutely brilliant. You
Well,
know,
I'm sorry, when people say play the Soul Train theme, that's usually the first they ever play, and
yeah,
then they start to pick up the other, themes. But that one, that's history.
yeah. Now, tell me about the little story with behind Pat Davis.
Pat Davis, the
Yeah,
dance.
yeah,
Well, Pat is in Europe and she's been there for quite some time, over 30 years. She started, well, while she was here, she started competing in the bodybuilding competitions. And
right.
so she took first place 2 or 3 years in a row for the Venice Beach bodybuilding. But her and another friend, close friend of mine, Eddie Champion, left to go to Europe to perform, and it's a wrap. They've been there forever since they left back in the early '80s. I think they left over there. Phenomenal dancer,
Hmm.
beautiful spirit, just a great all-out dancer. Now she's married to a doctor and living in Vienna. I think Vienna.
Vienna. Now, is it true that you were in the lineup for Michael Jackson's Thriller video? If it is true, how did you land the part? Was it because you were a Soul Train dancer, or did you get picked by Michael?
No, the choreographer usually chose the dancers. I was working with Michael Peters at the time,
Uh-huh.
who is since deceased, and he was the one that choreographed Thriller. And he choreographed that scene, that graveyard scene, uh, where the zombies are dancing with the Thriller dance.
Yeah.
And it was difficult because Michael is both Michael Peters and Michael Jackson are, very strict and sticklers for, exact
I could,
moves.
I could well
So
believe it.
I was living overseas in Japan, and I
Uh,
was traveling back and forth to tape the shows
yeah.
because the company that I was working for in Japan wanted to retain my persona as a soul trained dancer. So I was traveling back and forth to do the tapings, and heard about this audition. So I auditioned and, you know, got the part. So
Get the part. Now,
it was,
I've trailed that video all the way through, and trying to look through the makeup of where you were. Now, I do believe I found you. Are you on the still as you're doing the steps forward with your arms out? You're the girl directly over his right hand shoulder. You're gonna have to check the photograph, aren't you? Check the video, because I'm sure
it
that.
right, is it right hand or left hand?
Pardon?
Is it to his right or his left? I'm in
Uh,
blue. I'm in the blue dress.
that's what. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, because I was going. So where's she at? Where's she at? I was watching this last. I was watching this last night and trying to look through the makeup to find out who's who. Do you know what I mean? Well,
Well, see, you can see the facial structure. I mean,
aye,
that's makeup, but the structure of my face is pretty much the same.
yeah. But that was a brilliant video. I think it was the first one ever to last for more than 17 minutes, wasn't it? First ever video, music
Oh, yes.
video.
Yes, and you know what? Even then, just as with Soul Train, not realizing the impact that
Ah,
we as dancers were having on the world, I didn't realize the impact that video was going to have on the world either. So, it's a lot of firsts for me,
well,
but I'm proud of it.
I can tell you now, right? I was DJing when that came out. I was DJing somewhere down south, and every time well, any DJ will tell you, as soon as that track came on, everybody tried to imitate the dance routine.
Oh yeah.
And you've got a nightclub full of about what 300 or 400 people. trying to do this thriller dance who are full of alcohol. It is the funniest thing you can, it is the funniest thing you could ever see, I tell you.
That is so funny. It's funny. It's ironic. That all those costumings at one point, I had a lot of things in storage,
Yeah.
and I lost my storage,
Oh
and
no.
all of my Soul Train memorabilia, my Thriller memorabilia, and some other things that I had for shows that I had done got lost. And I'm just sick about it, but I at least I have the pictures that and the references and
Yeah.
that that's all I have to really show. But during that time though, I was uh I was performing under a different name. I was
Really?
changed my name through the courts because I thought Thelma wasn't Hollywood enough.
All
So
right.
changed my name to Tiana Davidson, and I was working under that name for a while. And then after I gave it a lot of thought, and I was thinking, Thelma's a unique name. There's not a lot of Thelmas.
No.
So I then went back into the courts and changed my name back, to my
Yeah.
birth name. But that was a period during my life. My daughter, she was trying to get her passports so she could get her dual passport citizenship, and she couldn't find. And they needed a marriage certificate so that she could be a dual citizen. And her father's Sicilian, and she was looking and looking everywhere trying to find this marriage certificate. She was at the city hall,
Yeah.
and she says, "Well, Mom, I can't find your marriage certificate." And I said, "Oh,
Oh,
I
oh, yeah.
forgot to tell you."
Change the name back.
Right. So she went back and she looked for the marriage certificate under Tiana,
Uh-huh.
and boom,
There it
there it
was.
was.
So, another quick question while you're at Soul Train. Now, you're bound to have loads and loads of stories that stick out in your mind of what happened behind the scenes, because, like you said earlier, you're all mixed together. Because I know in this country, some of the dancers were separated from the artists. They were allowed nowhere near them. They were just like, bang, that was it on stage, do the dance, and that's it. But do you have any? Can you pinpoint one or two stories that was really really funny or had an impact while you were backstage with any of the artists that you could share with our listeners?
Well, there are so many stories because for us as dancers,
Yeah,
we were in direct contact with almost all of the artists in the beginning.
yeah,
They didn't separate us. The artists were there, and we were there, and if we wanted to talk with them or take pictures with them, it was allowed. I mean, they didn't have their uh, full-fledged security teams as they
yeah.
do now.
The entourage.
So, I can remember having some candid conversations with Marvin Gaye. I can remember, talking to the OJs about some
Yeah,
of their music. Like I was, I fell in love with Harvest for the World.
brilliant
Uh,
song, brilliant song.
Brilliant song. And, just different artists that it's just even hard. Sister Sledge,
Yeah,
LaBelle, Patty LaBelle, and
yeah.
and and just
Have you do you have
I
a
don't I can't even come up with one because it was so many.
Yeah, does not one stick out to your mind about maybe when you were with either Marvin Gaye or Teddy Pendergrass? Yeah,
Well, the conversations are just so casual, and they
yeah,
were so casual and so unscripted until it wasn't something that we didn't understand. We didn't understand what we were exposed to.
right, okay.
It So it was like uh it was like you were talking to somebody that you just knew on the street or that you ran into or that you met at
A
a
best
party.
a best friend.
Yeah, so it was really great. But I do remember with Carl what's his name, Carl
Ca- Carl Carl
uh
Douglas,
yeah,
Carl Carlton.
yeah, Carl Carlton. I'm sorry, I should remember that name really because we're intimate for a minute. Um so I do remember him performing, his song "Bad Mama Jammer,"
Yeah.
and it was, I was almost thinking that it was about me. So
Oh, bless you.
yeah, yeah. So it's always good to dream, even if it wasn't.
Yeah.
But
So,
I just wanted to make a point that during those early days, I
yeah,
was because of the rapport that I have with the dancers and with the immediate staff or so, and I was chosen as like to be one of the gophers. So I was working backstage, running for coffee, helping with costuming and that kind of stuff. And that happened. I was in that position for many years. So you might see a show that
uh-huh.
was where I would be in the opening scene, and then you might not see me anymore on that show.
Yeah,
That's because after I opened up the show, on the riser or whatever, then I
yeah.
would be pulled back to work with the and with the entertainment.
With the background of everything. So
Yeah.
basically, you were like one of the main people at Soul Train. You were the organizer, or should I say A&R for Soul Train, really, weren't you?
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say organizer, but I can tell you this. If you say my name to any other dancer, they'll know who I am.
Brilliant. Honestly, Thelma, absolutely marvelous. Um, Now we're going to move on from your Soul Train days because what year did you actually leave Soul Train?
I was there for about 13 years. I started in 1971 and I reigned all the way through early part of 83.
83.
So
So
I was the longest of the original dancers. My reign lasted the longest.
I was going to say that because you would have been, yeah. That is a long time to stay with a TV series.
I know.
You
And
see,
I just kept, you know what? What was I in my 17? I was almost in my 30s when I left there. But the reason why I stayed so long was because I was living overseas. And the reason that I really initially got the gig overseas was because I was a soul train dancer. They were looking for soul train dancers
yeah,
to, open up their clubs and do some other shows and model.
yeah,
And so I went as a dancer, and the companies that I worked for, as I said before, wanted to retain that persona.
yeah.
So that they sent me back and forth to to take the shows so
Do you know,
that I would continue to show up.
yeah. Do you know something like if you'd have been a soap star, right, a soap actress, you'd have been one of the longest running actresses in a soap series. 30
Right.
years. It would true. Now,
Well, some of
after
the other
after
things that came behind me stayed on probably longer. I'm not sure,
uh
but I'm familiar with the dancers all the way through the 2006
yeah,
demise of the show.
yeah. So when you left Soul Train, is it true you became a choreographer and a dance tutor?
Yes, I worked in the community with many children. I choreographed many shows around the city.
Uh-huh.
I specifically like working with children
Right.
uh, because uh, I don't know how to say it. It's like they don't get the same sort of opportunities that was presented to us as children. As I
Right.
sta- as I was saying before, we had the Boys and Girls Club, we had
Yeah.
the Teen Post, we had Parks and Recreation. Those were places where we could go free of charge and dance or do sports or arts and crafts, different things, neighborhood youth corps. So those types of organizations no longer exist for children. You know, everything now is on a pay basis. It's very,
Yeah.
very difficult for children to be um, exposed. So I really like working with children. You know, I also do oratorical competitions and and I work in the arts in the city. I'm part of the Lamert Park
Yeah.
Theater Consortium.
So I can actually relate to what you're saying there about our age group, like back in the 60s and 70s. Here in the UK, we were exactly the same. There was places you could go to dance, to do arts and crafts and things like that, and it was all free of charge. But nowadays, I don't think the kids have got the motivation for it. I think myself, personally, there's too much computing, gaming going on and stuff like that, and they just aren't, they're getting lazy.
Well,
Should I
I
say
feel that way. I feel that way.
that?
That's why I feel like it's important for us to bring those type of services back to the children. And I think children ultimately want to be engaged.
Yes.
You know, I think that because all they have right now is the electronics and the technology, but when you put them in a space where they can be outside, where they can throw a ball or kick a can, or
Yeah.
you know, they they react. So I just think that exposure, they need to
Yeah.
be exposed to it, and we do need to get back to it because
Yeah. Oh,
communication.
without a
These
doubt.
kids, they need to learn how to communicate. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I remember when I was a kid, we used to play Kirby. Actually, we were literally kicked out of the house. We come back in from school, we get
Hold
changed,
on, when the
and it was
street
like,
lights come on.
right, out you go, down to the playing field or down to the youth club, and then your time to go back was when the streetlights came on. That was it.
Right, right. And during that time frame, everybody in the neighborhood was your parent.
That's
It
true.
was like
Yeah.
your parents felt uh they didn't feel apprehensive about letting you roam the streets because they knew that, two doors down, Miss Smith was gonna have you, or
Oh
two
yeah.
doors down the other way, Miss Jones was gonna have you, or
Yeah.
even if you went around the block, Miss Taylor had you.
Yep.
So, we had a more cohesive neighborhood community that looked out for the children. Now it's so different. I mean, even here, I've been living in my house for 25 years, and I don't know all of my neighbors.
No, it's all changed. You should go back to the old days.
Right.
So,
But don't get me wrong though. I'll try. I'll be looking.
right. So finally, Thelma, what are you doing today? What's going on with your life today?
Well, I've been sought out as somewhat of an authority on West Coast dance and the origination of West Coast dance and Soul Train and the connection between the two. So I've been doing quite a few panels, Zoom panel discussions, uh,
Uh,
and I'm also gardening, and I'm working, like I said, with the theater consortium here in the
yeah.
city. And but things have been closed down, so I've been kind of low key lately.
Till it all gets reopened again. I tell you, this
Right, right.
pandemic is a nightmare.
But I'm
It
starting
really
to get, offers. I was in Vegas last weekend, where I went to see a young girl who had won a competition to open up a show, and she is phenomenal. So I'm focusing and working with the youth still, and I'm hoping to get back into, a little bit of choreography,
Yeah,
dancing.
yeah.
My knees aren't as good as they used to be, but they still work.
No, but I tell you, even you just stood there, the persona of yourself saying, right, girls, this way, this way, move this way.
Right.
It will go, it will follow. Honestly, it will be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
Thelma, do you have any social media platforms where people can follow you? Do you have your own website or do you have a Facebook page for Soul Train or how can people get in touch?
well, I have a Facebook page called About That Train that that's in development right now.
Uh-huh.
Um, Also, Janique from Indelible is creating a website for me. I didn't get involved in the technology part of it until late, like now. So
Yeah.
I'm now building. I'm on Instagram at Thelma Diva, uh, and my email address is thelmdiva@gmail.com. And Facebook, I'm Thelma Davis Martin, so you can hit me up and look at what I'm doing. I post, and
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to develop. I'm trying to come out.
I was
I'm Thelmina. I want
want
the
the world
world
to
to know.
know I've got to love you so. That's the one. I was actually quite shocked because when I asked you about the video dance tracks, Jacques, I keep on saying Jacques.
Janique.
Unique, that's the one, yeah. Because I've known her for years, and when I seen that email, I went, "Whoa, hang on, is that the same one?" And then I spoke to her, and that is another little business that's coming up really well, and I think it's all good. Honestly, I was quite taken aback.
Well, she's a phenomenal jazz singer, and
She is.
her and James Brown are together,
Huh.
and so they're playing off of each other as well. And she also does, the websites and the
Yeah,
she works with people in entertainment to build their persona. Uh, I don't want to say persona,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah,
So she's a great. I mean, she's smart, she's beautiful, she's talented,
yeah.
and
I never said that. I never knew that. I just thought she was a jazz singer, and then when I got the email, I'm like, "Whoa, hang on, is this the same one?"
yeah, and it was funny because um, she said, what, send me the when I was first talking to her about doing this interview, she
Yeah.
said, Steve Harris from the UK? And I said that, the one and only, right? And so she says, I know him. She said, but the email that she had for you was different. She said, because
Different.
it was about from 7 years ago.
Yeah. Things have
So I had
changed.
sent her the updated one, but she was like, and it's just such a small world, isn't it?
It is very small indeed. Very small.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you are running in the right circles, right?
Oh yes, definitely. Right,
Yeah.
Thelma. Finally, is there anything you would like to add? Any thank yous or shout outs or hellos to anybody before we go?
I would not do that because there are so many people that have been a part of my development in life. So I'll just say shout out to all those who you know who you are. I'm your fan, and I'm hoping you're a fan of mine. So, and I appreciate, I'm honored and humbled to be able to interview with you and speak with you. And I'm just looking forward to more bigger and better and greater things. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thelma, thank you, my darling. All right, don't go away because I need a quick chat with you before you go. But once
Uh,
again, Thelma, thank you for joining us here on Soul Sensations. It's been absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too.